Hello and welcome to Sarcastic Videos. Today we're going to be talking about Chris D'Elia Incorrigible. It's a Netflix original comedy special that was shot a couple of years ago. This special is actually, in my opinion, better than his latest special, Man on Fire. And can't put my finger on it exactly, but this one just seems to be more fun. And he just seems to be better in this specific special. He does still do the one thing that, one of the things that I didn't like in his last special, which was the laughing at his own jokes to the point where he actually keeps interrupting his setups, the punchlines, because he's laughing at his own jokes. But in this one, he seems more charming and just more funny. He starts out talking about how, he got started 10 years ago, 10 years from now. In the special, it was 8 years. And, how cynical it is when you're starting out and people are, they just don't treat you very good when you're trying to be a comedian. When you tell them you're a comedian or want to be one. He talks about, gigs in laundromats and places like that, and how he did terrible gigs in the beginning. One of them he talks about, he goes into some detail about a bar where everybody in the bar was not paying attention to his set except for one woman who just kept talking to herself throughout the whole thing. That was pretty funny. He called her out on it. They got into an argument there, and that was his way of showing gratitude to the crowd in the special by showing how shitty it was when he started and how grateful he is that he can do shows like this now. So that part, that's kind of adds to the charm. And he talks about being on tour, and one of the places that he went on tour was South Florida, where it's mostly Cuban there, and he has some jokes about that. And he talks about one part where he asked a Cuban person there for directions, and he goes through that interaction, which was pretty funny. And then from the Cubans he goes to the Russians, because he used to live in the valley, and apparently there's a lot of Russians there, so he does some interactions that he had with them and how serious they are and how they always seem mad at everything. And then he goes on to talk about telling girls to relax, that they get way too stressed out for nothing because they care too much and men just don't care enough. He has a joke he does about running into his ex, and how she just really wanted to start a fight with him, and how some things he did get mad at, and it was pretty funny. It was a thing where there was an orange shirt, but she kept calling it a pink shirt, and he just kept trying not to fight, but she really wanted to fight. And conversations like that, he was pretty funny with. And then he talks about men and women, and how men are motivated by wanting to be with women. It kind of splits this up throughout the set. He talks later about it, but basically he's talking about how guys want to have sex with all the girls all the time, while girls want to have sex with one or two dudes sometimes in their life. And how that conflict gets resolved in dating, and all the different tasks and that women make men go through to date and eventually have sex with. And that part was funny. Like he said, it was an evil scavenger hunt that women create to get men to go through just to win the prize, I guess. And he talks about babies and how they're too hard to raise. He doesn't want to raise one. And crying. And he talks about how he cried when he watched Kazaam, which is a movie starring Shaquille O'Neal. And then he has this whole thing about the sports. And how he doesn't watch them, but he would if they were real animals. Like bears, real bears versus real lions. And things like that. So that part was funny. And he does... pretty much all the jokes hit. There wasn't really anything that was missed that wasn't funny. He talks about, he just mostly it's about women and men and dating and just a little bit about sports and starting out as a comedian. So for all of it, it hit. It was funny. He was good with the crowd. It was just the laughing at himself too much that really, put it down a little bit. So for this special, Chris D'Elia is a funny guy. This is Chris D'Elia Incorrigible. It is a couple of years old, but it's on Netflix and it is pretty funny. So I will be giving it a thumbs up, and I would rate this I would rate it an 8 out of 10. It was a good special. So if you like this video, like, share, subscribe, or all of the above. Thank you, and have a nice day.